Good morning, folks. I hope all of you slept nicely. Uh, am I audible back there? Yeah, all right. Thank you. So, while all of you are still settling in, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Vijay Dharap. I am from Pune. I work for Infosys for last 14 years now as a principal architect. My Twitter handle is here. And also, if you want to follow along these slides or run forward before I go to the slides, you can actually look at the slides over here. You can open it in your browser, I mean in your mobile, and you can follow along. If for any reason it is not visible here for you clearly. All right. I will be talking about Webpack bundle tuning. So I hope all of you use Webpack. So quick show of hand who do not use Webpack. Do not use. Okay, I still see at least 10-15 people, 10-15% of people not using Webpack. All right, nice. So I would like to take a minute to explain. I recently heard a quote which said, every application becomes large enough that it should not be loaded at the start, the whole application, and you only need to load a very small part of your application at the start. And for doing that, you really need to split your application into a smaller bundles and then deliver one bundle at a time. And that is where things like Webpack come into play. I mean, Webpack is just one of the players. There are other players in the market as well, but Webpack is one of the popular one. And why is Webpack popular? Why do developers love Webpack? One of the reason is because it has a versatile loading system, meaning it can load not only JavaScript, but it can load images, style sheets, fonts, PDF files, you name it. I mean, things that you cannot even imagine getting loaded and bundled, those things get loaded and bundled. That is one of the beautiful thing that Webpack has. Secondly, as I was saying, that we need to do bundling. So that is probably where the Webpack has mastery at, that it allows you to make as many number of bundles as you want. You have full control on what you want to do. Then next part that comes in every JavaScript application delivery is, okay, now I have a new application and I want to deploy, but clients already has an old copy, so now I have to do cache busting somehow. So Webpack gives you it in free of cost, just one line of configuration, and you have cache busting set in for you. Fourthly, it has a buzzword that a lot of people already have been talking about, that is tree shaking. That is, if you are using, let's say, one or two functions in, say, D3.js or low-js, then in the erstwhile, or even jQuery, right? I only wanted to use jQuery for $.ajax, but now I'm just getting the entire jQuery in. You should not be doing that. So, and you should not be doing manually something for it. So Webpack gives you a help by doing a tree shaking, so that it will shake out anything that you don't need. So it's like literally taking a tree which has connected nodes, and then it will shake it. Whatever you don't use falls away. All right. So that's the tree shaking, beautiful feature that Webpack offers. And lastly, Webpack has a very big ecosystem of plugins. Probably there are about 200, 300 plugins right now, and writing one yourself is not very difficult. It used to be, but they have improved documentation a lot in last 3-4 months, and it has become actually quite manageable to anybody to write the plugin now. So you can go freak yourself out. So these are some of the key reasons why people like Webpack. So those who raise their hands, I would definitely urge you to take one more look at Webpack. It has been awesome. It has improved a lot in last 1 year, and it's really, really useful nowadays. So, but as I said, that it has so many features and so many configurable options, and there are so many plugins. Does that make it a smart AI system? It doesn't. It is still a dumb system. That means if we do not configure it right, it is going to create things that undesirable effects, right? So one of the key undesirable effect that I came across for Webpack is very, very big bloated bundles. The thing for which I wanted to use Webpack, that it should create small application bundles for me, so that my application's delivery to the browsers is very fast. It actually did exactly reverse. It created bundles, yes, it splitted my entire application code into bundles, but all of them were really, really big because I did not tell him the right things. But today, I learned and I'm going to teach you how do you fix that particular problem and you know, make Webpack understand what, how you can fix that thing. So I'll start off with my product's experience in a summary, a very quick summary. So if you look at, this is one of the plugins output for Webpack. It is showing that, you know, I had 5, 6, you can forget about service worker, but I had 6 bundles, and total size of all the bundles put together was 5.73 MB, and it was when I did not tune it at all. But if when I tuned it, the bundle size, number of bundles remained same, but if you see the total size of all the bundles now, it has become 2.6 MB. That means I saved overall at around 50%. And it also, I mean, since I'm already showing you a splitted version already, so I mean, initial bundle size was not so much of a problem for me, but yeah, if you do not configure by default, that will be a problem for you to have a, everything will get bundled into a single chunk or single bundle, and everything will get downloaded for you at the start, which is not a very optimal scenario. Plus, yeah, I mean, out of 2.6 MB, maybe I'm going to save another 500 KB because I still have the AOT compiler in it. I mean, this is my real actual production bundle experience that I'm showing. So how did I do? How did I go about, you know, having that 50% reduction in the bundle sizes? So the most important tool that you need for this particular you know, activity is built into Webpack, which is called as --JSON option to the Webpack utility. Webpack has a command line, so Webpack CLI. If you pass a --JSON to it, it is going to output or emit a JSON file which will tell you everything about how Webpack did what Webpack did. So now, but obviously it is not very readable by humans, so you need to process it, and there are these 3 tools. Webpack has its own analyzer tool or a website. There is another tool called Webpack Visualizer, and then there is one more tool called Webpack Bundle Analyzer. There are two tools by same name, so that's why I've written by Thor. If you search along with the keyword Thor on Google, you will find it, or you can simply use these 3 links at the bottom, you know, shortened links for you, easily usable: TinyCC, Webpack Analyzer 1, 2 and 3. So those are the 3 tools that we can, and I'm going to show you one of the tool in more detail. Rest of the 2 tools I will not show. Each tool has some advantages, some disadvantages. So the Webpack's own analyzer is very good in order to identify the duplicates, which is probably the most important thing which I used it for, because I saw all my bundles were bloated, and I was like, okay, I don't have so much code, why my bundles are bloated, right? And then I went about identifying the duplicates. So it gave me built-in, the duplicates were given to me automatically. I didn't have to search for them. It directly showed, okay, this particular you know, module seems to be appearing in bundle 1, 2 and 3. Are you sure you want to do that, or you want to take it out in a common bundle? You know, that kind of help it offers. So, you know, using that kind of help, I quickly try to move or tune my bundling and you know, get rid of a lot of duplicates. It also gives another key reason why I like this particular analyzer is because it tells you as to why certain file is included in your bundle. You know, this happens a lot with me, or used to happen a lot with me with Lodash earlier. That, you know, I never asked you to get sort by, then why are you including sort by in my bundle? I don't want that file, that is 7 KB extra, I don't want it. But sort by is used by some other, you know, file that I have requested, some other function from Lodash that I have requested. So it tells you the entire graph as to who is dependent on what and how is the whole tree is being built upon. So that's a very good feature that the Webpack's analyzer gives you, and it looks something like this. Sorry. So this is the stat.json that I was talking about. I already have it generated, and this is how it looks like. This is how it shows the modules and chunks, assets, and if there are any hidden, okay, so assets is where you will know every JS file and which chunk it is part of now, etc. And in the hints area, right now there is no such duplications, but if there are any duplication, hints is where you will see those duplications being shown in. And this is the other visualizer that I am showing here. So visualizer is also very good because it shows it in a visual format, which is also something I really love. So you just drop the JSON file over here. Just a second. Okay, I think I dropped it on Notepad for some reason. Yeah. Okay, so this is the kind of sunburst chart it will create, and it will also, if you hover on it, it will tell you that in my application, 99% of the code is coming from node modules. Only 1% is my application code. That's all. So that doesn't seem very good. And it also tells me out of that 99%, 11% is by Vue, and 19% by D3 and all that kind of stuff. So we will be going through, you know, this little bit in little bit more detail. But that is the visually I find it very good that I can easily spot, okay, who is the biggest culprit. You know, that is one of the good thing that I like about it. But lastly, the Webpack bundle analyzer, is almost like combining both these upper tools, and it's really good. And we will be using that tool, in the rest of the session. So I'll show you as we go along. Okay, so enough of talk. I'm going to show you now a demo. I created a small demo to showcase, obviously all the bad things that I can do purposefully, and then I'm going to fix it, right? So here is a small demo. So there is a bootstrap on the home page, usage of bootstrap.js. Then there is a tab for movement.js. Movement.js, I hope most of you would know, it's a date formatting, parsing, manipulation library. So I use that on one of the tab. I use OpenLayers map. I just wanted to use some map library, and I used to know OpenLayers, so I use that. I use Lodash on another tab, and then I use D3 where I just draw a small, square using D3.select and then just fill it in, right? So application is using right now Vue.js for MVC, right? But it need not be Vue.js. I just use something. I wanted to use something, so I use Vue.js. Bootstrap CSS for styling. Movement.js, Lodash, OpenLayers, D3. Yeah, I covered all of them. Yeah. Okay, so this is the application that I built in order to do this particular exercise, and then I did the Webpack -JSON out of it, and then I created these reports, the ones which you saw earlier, the same ones that you saw earlier, and this is the actual third Webpack bundle analyzer by Thor, right? That will create a bundle output like this. Now your application code is out there somewhere. The blue guy out here, that is your application code, and everything else on the screen that you see is all the libraries that I brought in. So much of libraries for such a small application, right? But thankfully this guy makes it very easy to clearly say, okay, who is the culprit? Boss, ol.js is just way too much. You really cannot have ol.js for this big. I mean, for what are you using that? Right? You have to find an alternative for this D3.js also, really big. Then there is a whole huge block of locale from movement.js for whatever reason. Then there is Lodash.js also fairly big. Vue ESM, you can't really do much about it, but yeah, if you can do something about it, it would be nice as well, right? So that is, that's how we can identify our culprits, right? Oh, sorry. And the most important culprit is that I only have one vendor.js file right now. I have static.js, vendor.js, that is this whole block, and then there is this small block here which is my applications.js, only two JS files, and that is probably the worst culprit that I have right now. So I'm going to fix this particular culprit first, that I have only single vendor file. I'm going to split it into multiple bundles so that my and I'm going to show you actually before I do that what is the outcome of having this particular single bundle. So I'm going to just do a hard refresh of this application, the application that I showed you earlier, and you can see here that I have app CSS, vendor.js, and app.js. I only have app.js and vendor.js, and you can see that vendor.js was 324 KB, which is fairly high amount right now, and as compared to application.js, which is 3.2 KB. So it's like 1% of the whole thing, right? And if I go across to movement.js or OpenLayers, nothing is getting downloaded in, all these PNG files are for the tiles for the OpenLayers, so ignore that. But nothing from my application is now getting downloaded. So everything, even though I never went to load-js or D3.js pages, all the logic and all the libraries that were required to show those pages were already downloaded on the first page, which is absolutely not very good experience, end user experience, when you are talking about flaky mobile connections, etc. So there are a lot of things that could be done better, right? So that's what we will go about now, and I will walk you through how do we do that. So first we are going to fix the bundles. So we are going to do lazy loading, meaning I'm going to I'm going to split them, and I'm not going to load them at the start. I'm going to load them only when I need them, lazily, right? So this is how my the landing.view file, or the place where I was having all the other bundles loaded earlier. This is the original code, untuned. So as you can see here, on top I have a static imports of all the other components that I have written in Vue.js. I have a component called movement, not to confuse with movement.js library. This is my page which was showing some text, right, in movement.js. This is my Lodash page. So these are all my components which use all these libraries internally. So I had statically imported all these components in my application, and I was doing this routing here, and I was giving reference to these components. So what I'm going to change now, very small change, not too much, and that's why my title said that small tweaks can earn big. So as you are going to see in this slide and next 4-5 slides, that I just tune small items, but the rewards are very big. Okay, so first of all, as you see, I removed all the static imports above, and I also removed static references to the components, and I did what is known as Webpack's dynamic import feature. So as you can see, by dynamic import, I mean that instead of saying import here, the one static, I give import with a parenthesis and give the component name that should get loaded later. Now yesterday somebody was showing require.ensure. That is exactly same as this, and only thing is that require.ensure is a Webpack 1.x version of the same construct. In Webpack 2.0, 3.0 now, you use rather this import construct instead of require.ensure. Okay, so what essentially I'm saying here is that whenever I require movement, you import at that point in time. Right now you don't import anything. This is just a promise that I need movement component, I need Lodash component, etc., etc. Okay, so that is that is all the code change that you need to have to bring down that 340 KB vendor.js to split into 4-5 bundles, and the first bundle to come down to about 40 KB now. That's all you need, and I'll show you that how it changes. Secondly, I'm going to optimize the OpenLayers component that I had written. This is my OpenLayers component, and I was getting a reference to the variable OL from OpenLayers library, and then I was using to create a tile and a view, and then I was creating a map out of that. So that was a very simple usage of OpenLayers, right? Now this OpenLayers library is not a ES 2015 compatible. Okay, so what OpenLayers guys did was, there was a lot of hue and cry about their file size on their on their GitHub page, and so they rewrote their library, and now they have come up with a new library called OL with version 4.0. Okay, so this slightly older code that I have, I wrote it about a couple of months ago. So now it is definitely not in beta. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to change the application to use OL instead of the OpenLayers, the one which is below. So as you can see, I removed the from OpenLayers line, and now I am importing specific things that I want from OL library. Now this is what will enable me to have a tree shaking going on. So instead of me saying that, okay, I want to use something from OpenLayers, and so give me the entire OpenLayers.js one big library, I said no, I only want tile layer, I only need map, view, and whatnot, right? So only give me that. I don't want anything else. OpenLayers has hundreds of features. Very good for you. Just keep it with me. I don't need them right now, right? So by doing this, it is going to do a tree shaking, and because of the tree shaking, your bundle is going to shrink, and we will see how big or how small it is going to be, right? And In your code, the only changes were that I don't use now OL dot etc. because I have imported the specific objects directly on top. So in your code, there was hardly any change in order to use the new library, right? In last 6-8 months, I have seen a lot of libraries going through similar transformation. And another transformation that I'm going to show you is for D3. Again, if you remember, I was only using D3.select here, if you can see here on top, right? That I did import star as D3 from D3, and then I was using D3.select, and then I was drawing a rectangle, that's all, right? But in just to use D3.select, I got the whole library earlier. So again, in case of D3, similar changes happened, that I went for a different version of D3, which is, and now with the version 4, I think version 4.1, I guess. From version 4.1, they support ES 2015 specific modules. So you can only import whatever you need. I mean, you can import D3 alone, but just for the sake of showing you that you don't even need to do that, you can always just say, okay, I am not interested in anything else from D3, just give me D3 selection. Then it will only import D3 selection, right? So that is what I did, D3 selection. And then here the change that I brought was I removed the old line, which was importing the whole D3 library, and I imported just the select function from D3 selection, and just the reference change there. Yeah, very small changes, not too much. I'm not retransforming my modules, and I am emphasizing on this for any folks who are not using bundling and code splitting, that it is not a very hard exercise, and it is also an incremental thing that you can go about. So you don't have to set out, okay, I am going to just for one sprint, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to do Webpack Optimization. No, you don't have to. While you are pushing out your code changes for your functionality, you can also push out these things. Yeah. So next online is the Lodash. Now Lodash unfortunately does not have half-truth statement, does not have a ES 2015 based Lodash library yet. That is, if you go and get lodash.js, it is common.js based. Common.js based library means that you cannot tree shake it. Okay. While I said it's a half truth, because there is a lodash-es library now, which is actually compatible with ES 2015, but very few people I have seen to be using it. So if you use that, great, then you can go for tree shaking. But if you don't, and for any reason you cannot, because you are dependent on some library which uses Lodash, and there are like thousands of libraries which depend on Lodash, right? So then you don't have a scope of using Lodash-es, right? So in that case, what are you going to do? There is no ES 2015 modules in your hands to do tree shaking, right? Then you have to now depend on something more than what you have been doing so far, whatever you have learned so far, and you have to now take help from some plugins. I talked about 200, 300 plugins, right? So one of the plugin I'm going to make use of here. Sorry, I think okay. So here I only have one image. So this was my original code that I was importing underscore from Lodash, and I was using underscore.pick, one of the function, just to give an example. And now the change that I did was, I said, okay, I am going to use import pick from Lodash/pick, very similar to what I did in case of D3 and OpenLayers. But if I do this much and if I try to see whether tree shaking has happened, it has not happened, because Lodash is not a ES 2015 library, right? That's why I have to use this particular plugin. Now this plugin is, even though it's a Webpack plugin, it is written and maintained by Lodash team itself. So you can depend on it. It's not some developer in corner who is writing the plugin. It is the Lodash team's own plugin called Lodash Webpack plugin, and you just need to give reference to it. That's all. You don't have to do any configuration, nothing. It will find out. So two things you need to do in order to get the tree shaking going for Lodash. One is you have to do this kind of import and use it, and second is you have to refer this particular plugin in your application code, and that's it. Then you have the Lodash as well, tree shaken, or at least things that you don't need, they will not be part of your bundle. All right, next in line is movement.js, and on top I just reproduce the image that I had shown you earlier. So there in the movement.js there were two parts. One is movement.js library itself, Again, movement.js has similar problems as that of Lodash, that it is a it is not a ES 2015 library. It's a Lodash is a common JS format library, so you cannot reshake it. And unfortunately, at this point in time, I do not know any plugin that will do the similar work for movement. So that part I'm not covering. But I also realized, and a whole bunch of you probably, if you go back, and see your modules, you will find, if you're using movement, that you are bundling all the locale files, such a big number of locale files in your bundles. Now I'm not doing anything for Russian. My client base is not Russian, Armenian, Italian, none of it. But I still have all the files for movement.js, in my code base. So how do I fix this? I particularly wanted to take movement.js because there are just so many people who use movement.js, and so many people are bundling it without realizing it, what to do about it, right? So the fix is very simple. Oh, sorry. Fix is very simple. You just need to add a new plugin reference called context replacement plugin, which is a Webpack's own plugin. And you tell him that, boss, whenever you come across a path movement/locales, I only am interested in these languages: English, Hindi, and Marathi. Those three languages, all my client base only uses these three languages, so I only want those. I don't care about any other language. So please keep those, remove all the others. And once you give this instruction to Webpack, it will drop everything else. And that's why my talk's name is tuning it. We are tuning. So this is the default behavior. If you don't give this line here, Webpack will automatically bring everything. So we need to tune him here and there. We have to tell him, nudge him in the right direction. That's what I'm doing right now, by one, right? I'm nudging him to fix how his default behavior is. Lastly, I also wanted to touch base upon the CSS usage that I was having. I purposefully had added bootstrap.css file in my first application code, and so as part of the optimization, I removed that, and I changed over to SCSS version of Bootstrap. Okay, that is SAS version, right? And I added a custom SCSS file, and the custom SCSS is something like this. So I said, boss, I'm only interested in these modules from Bootstrap CSS. I'm only interested in scaffolding, types, grids, and buttons, and I don't want anything else. Okay. Just for reference, this is how the big file looks like, and the whole thing, the things that I did not include, right? Obviously, it is going to bring some optimization and some benefits to me, and we will show you how much benefit I got out of this. Alright. So here is a report. This report is created by the Webpack's own analyzer. So the screenshot is from the Webpack's own analyzer. So this is the before tuning application, the one which we have seen already. You can see that there were app, vendor, and manifest. Manifest is the default bundle that Webpack creates. You can ignore it. Yeah, it's anyway 0 bytes. Yeah, vendor, there was only 2 bundles. So vendor and app. One was 2 MB. Yeah, it is before gzip. So when I served the application, gzip was on. So it has converted to zip number. And application was 7 KB. But you can see that they all had an initial flag here, meaning when you hit the application, all of them are going to get downloaded, right? And this is the report afterwards. Now, so I have this app and vendor as is, and then I have bundles, chunks created 0, 1, 2, and 3. I haven't given them any names, but so they will be just referred by their ID 0, 1, 2, 3, which are additional chunks. But the initial flag now is only to these ones, and you can see 2 MB vendor has become 236 KB, so almost 90% smaller for my home page load, right? And even if you combine all of them, your total, okay, sorry, that size I don't have here, sorry, it doesn't matter anyways. Yeah, I'm going to show you one more report wherein the comparison is given. Yeah, so the most important is first paint is going to be much faster, because earlier you were trying to download 2 MB of JavaScript. Now you are only downloading 241 KB of JavaScript, right? Let's quickly take a look how it looks like in the application. So here is the, I'm going to do a hard refresh to show you. This is the tuned application. Yeah. So even now I have only vendor and app, but the sizes are small, 29 KB now, and this was the old one, just for your reference one more time. 324 KB. These are gzip sizes. The one which I have on the screen are, because that's how Webpack reports without gzipping. So I just kept it as it is, right? So a much smaller delivery, total only 41 KB transferred now. Earlier 349 KB transferred, and now the magic is here. Then when I click on movement.js, that's when the bundle for movement.js got downloaded. When I click on Lodash, that's when Lodash bundle. When I click on D3, when D3. When I click on OpenLayers, OpenLayers. So that is the lazy loading that I was talking about, right? So and this is how the Webpack bundle analyzer's output will now look like. So your application is somewhat bigger now. I'm just trying to search where it is. App. Okay, it is still not able to spot it here quickly, but you have a different outcome now. So you can see that, you know, OpenLayers, I did not bring a single ol.js, but I rather brought only things that I needed, a small module, and you see that there are many more than what I requested. I requested only for 4 or 5 things, but obviously they had dependencies internally within OL. They figured it all out and brought whatever was required. Whatever minimal that was possible, they have brought in. They have not brought in anything more than that. On movement.js side, you can see that there is only one movement.js. The locale is so small that it is not even visible here on the corner. Yeah. So that is the type of improvement that you can visually see in your own application. This is just a snapshot for you to compare. So first page, as I said, we had 358. Okay, these numbers are a little bit off than what I'm showing you now. So 89% saving I had. So just because of OpenLayers tree shaking, I saved about 41%. D3, because I was only using D3.select, in real life I know that we will use more than that. So you may not get like 88% as I am showing you here, but this is just to show you in this application I was able to get 88% saving for D3 alone. Lodash 86%, Vue 31%, movement.js 80%, and in Bootstrap CSS I got almost 57% of improvement. So overall whole bunch of improvements that I could bring because of you know, doing all the techniques that I showed you. So just want to recap quickly whatever I showed you today. I showed you that it is very important to do lazy loading using the Bootstrap's Webpack's import function. So this import with this parenthesis, this function is not available elsewhere. It is available only because I'm using Webpack. Then we should be making use of tree shaking as much as possible, and that is not out of the box possible all the time. So we need to look out for every library's version which is ES 2015 compliant, so that you can you know, get help of tree shaking for your application. You know, then wherever that is not possible, like the case of Lodash.js, like the case of movement.js, try to find out plugins for Webpack which will you know, help you doing this particular specialized culling. You know, locales, I don't want all the locales, so I want to cull them out. Yeah, so something like that. And you know, if you are using Bootstrap, which quite a few might be using, then also make use of SAS based you know, version of Bootstrap, so that you will only include whatever you need and rest will be dropped, could be dropped. All right. So thank you, and I wish you the best for, you know, having your tuning journey. So if you like this particular session, please tweet and have a Webpack hashtag in it, so that all the other Webpack users also can benefit out of this. You can find me on GitHub, Twitter, Medium, everywhere as Dharap Vijay. Thank you. Oh, by the way, the code is here. Thank you.
If you have some questions, you can ask them now. There.
In a first slide, which I saw the 2 images, and in the second image there was a file called app common, which was taking around 1.2 MB.
Oh yeah.
So I just wanted to know from where that file came.
Oh, that is my own bundle that I separated out. That in my application, right?
Yeah.
This one, right? So right. So here the app common was a bundle that I created myself. So Webpack, as I said, Webpack gives you full flexibility as to how you want your bundles to be created. So by default, it will create a bundles in certain fashion. Okay, so most of the times the default is creating a vendor bundle out, okay, which will include everything from node modules. But in my applications case, what I realized was that I don't want everything from vendor bundle to be, I mean from node modules to be included in one single vendor. Rather, I will create something that is required, absolutely required for my homepage dashboard to come up. So which included a charting library and something, some of the other libraries like that, right? So those parts I picked out and created a separate, and then there was, okay, and the polyfills was separate as well.
Polyfill is there in the left side also.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Just curious about the
Oh,
app common.
I'm sorry. So app common is something that I don't load at the start. I only load whatever I need in as part of main, and moment my home page is loaded, I in the background I load app common essentially. So basically I save 1.2 MB of load at this to render my page. That is the reason why I took out everything that I don't need and put it in a separate lab. Sorry, got confused a little.
Yeah, I'm Pradeep. Nice talk, by the way.
Thank you.
So my question was with respect to the legacy application which uses require.js.
Yes.
So there is already a Glyph.js compiler which way we do all the optimization stuff.
Yeah.
Will Webpack suit for it? I tried many times, but I failed. I mean, it's like a lot of plugins are in Webpack, but some or the other it shows up error saying that Webpack is not, it's throwing up, and not many forums were there.
Right.
Have you tried this scenario?
Yes, I have extensively worked on require.js, so I can give you more details probably offline. But there is a r.js which is a sister library along with require, which I used for my purpose. Oh, so yeah, straight answer about Webpack. Can I go Webpack way? No, it is not that easy. But r.js pretty much does everything that, but it needs more configuration, more manual effort than Webpack.js. So, but yeah, using r.js, I achieved most of these things in my old application. Not the ES 2015 tree shaking, that is not possible. But bundling, splitting, lazy loading, all that is possible using require plus r.js combination. Maybe I can give you more details offline.
Hello, thanks for the talk.
Sure.
Myself Subodh. How do you handle responsive design for, like, if you're creating an application B2C product which is for both desktop and mobile? So is it better strategy to have a separate code base and then bundling it separately, or using just media queries and then having a single code base and then doing some kind of like splitting using Webpack? Like how Webpack can help in that scenario?
Okay. So it depends, frankly. A quick answer would be it depends on your context. But if you really want to split the code for the mobile and for the desktop, it is possible, and you can have multiple entry points, for example, given in the Webpack, so that Webpack can create totally separate bundles, and using those entry points, you can have totally different code rendered for different things. Right, yeah, I am assuming that you have separate code base. That's what you said, right? Yeah. Right. Yes. So yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it is just enough to use media queries and get going. But sometimes you are just bringing way too many things for desktop which you do not need, and client really needs super fast screen painting for mobile. Then probably it is right idea to create a different code base. Or even in the same code base you can have blocks, and then Webpack using specialized Webpack blocks, by which Webpack will only pick those parts for you. But it's very risky, whatever I just said, from testing perspective.
Okay. Question here.
Hi. So suppose I have a requirement of including a JS file, which I can't put inside the vendor thing. So I just want to use CDN to import this file in my index.html page. Now, how is it going to impact my application? Am I abusing Webpack?
Right, good question. So what happens in case of Webpack is that internally, as I said, there are a whole bunch of plugins, and this Vue.js application used something called as HTML Webpack plugin to create a index.html for you. What it does is essentially, see, it is going to create these bundles for you, and I also said that it has cache busting built into it, right? So that means every time you rerun the Webpack, it is going to create a new name for your JS file. So obviously you cannot go and change, okay, Webpack has run, now let me update my index.js commit and push. No, you cannot do that, right? So that's why it creates the index.js for you, and by which what I mean is it simply adds all these new files at the bottom of your body tag. okay, for all reference for all the JS files. So coming to your problem, so your CDN JS, as long as it is sitting above these, since it is from CDN, it will get loaded first and then these files. So the order, from the order perspective, it will be already resolved for you. It will be resolved for you.
Yeah. We have a question in balcony.
Yeah, hi. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we usually have like most of the application again on desktop web. So we have different screens which have around 50 JS files to 200 JS files for one screen, and we have circular dependency also. Like from one screen to other screen, we need to have all the live objects all the time. So what do you suggest? We need to have all the JS downloaded together at one go, or we should go for clicking and then download on demand? Like what would be the better way?
Right. So I'll transcribe from my experience perspective. So in Angular world, I had similar problems in Angular 4, for example, that I had two modules and both needing some common information. So what I did was I created a common module and kept the code outside in a separate bundle for it. So that both the libraries will just refer that bundle. I ensure that that bundle is getting loaded before. Right? That way my bundle size is optimal. But yes, at the start only the first bundle and the common bundle both will get downloaded. But second bundle will not contain the code from common bundle. That's all. Does that help?
Question there.
Hi. Thank you for the talk. In your example, you had spoken about Lodash.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that Lodash might be used by other components as well.
Yes.
But you had used only pick from that.
Yes.
So, but the other components which are using Lodash may need more than that.
Yes, absolutely.
Does the replacement?
Oh yeah, that is taken care of by Webpack for you. So at the first slide when I said that, what Webpack does is it will parse your entire JS graph. Okay. So let's say that you are using, I don't know, D3. Okay, just I know that D3 probably does not use Lodash, but let's say D3 depends on Lodash and uses Lodash, right? So moment it will see that you are importing D3, it will also go and see what all things D3 needs or D3's code that you are referring needs, and then it will parse all that and it will pull in, and it will see that you have that Lodash Webpack plugin. So it knows now, okay, you yourself use _pick, but let's say the other guys use, let's say sort by or map, whatever from Lodash. So then it will take all those and it will put them in the respective appropriate bundles, and everything else that is not referenced will get culled off. Pretty much every library these days is at least CommonJS, and he is able to parse and understand that part of the story. As far as the graph creation in its mind is concerned, it can create the whole graph. Thanks.
We have a question this side from a long time. Yeah.
Is it possible to use like some plugins to do the tree shaking stuff?
Okay. So as I was showing, tree shaking is primarily dependent upon your modules, whichever you want to get tree shaken, to be written in ES 2015, at least in ES 2015 first. So given that you have those, you don't have to do anything specialized as long as you are using Webpack 2. Webpack 2 will take care of tree shaking for you. If your modules that you are concerning about are in ES 2015 format and you are referencing in that fashion, no extra plugin is required. Yeah.
This is about the lazy loading feature that you spoke about. So I'm just curious to know, how does it work internally? So the moment it captures the first reference, that is the moment it loads that particular JS, or how does this work?
As I said, whenever it comes across this import block, right, it is going to create what do they call it? Split point. They call it split point. So it creates a split point, meaning from that point onwards, it is not going to parse it is going to parse whatever was the parameter that was given to the import, because it knows that you want to load it sometime, but it is not going to include. So the parsing is one activity for Webpack, which it is going to do, even continue to do, but it is going to not include that particular code content in your main module where it found an import with a square bracket. It is going to create that part as a separate file.
So it's going to parse at the time of building, or
yes.
or it will be
at the time of building. It is going to parse everything and create bundles for you, all of them separately.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then it is up to you how do you want to load it. So I use whatever was possible in view.js. View.js uses that function. Maybe we can take this offline. I mean, because for Angular there is different way to do that.
Yes, please. We would also recommend taking this offline.
sure,
We're running
sure,
out of
sure.
time. I'm sure you must have a lot of questions since Webpack is an interesting technology, but we'll have to cut
Maybe
this.
what I will do is I will just register for a MA Ask Me Anything session for the unconference area during the day, and then whoever wants to discuss Webpack with me can just stop by.
Right. That's a great way to use the unconference area. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.